Assalamu alaikum. My name is Khaled Hammoudeh and I'm going to be talking about ECG 2 in this lecture. Okay, now before I go into the causes of cardiac arrhythmias, I want to explain the word cardiac arrhythmia itself. So what does cardiac arrhythmia mean? Arrhythmia means there's an abnormal heartbeat in the of the human. Like you can see in the ECG, no, there's abnormality in his ECG. This is where we know, no, there's an arrhythmia. That's why it's called cardiac arrhythmia. Now, for causes of cardiac arrhythmias, we have five types. We can have five causes of cardiac arrhythmias. We can have abnormal rhythmicity, shift of the pacemaker, blocks in the pathway, abnormal pathway, and spontaneous generation. Now, before we look into the ECGs of abnormal heart rates, let's first of all understand how does the normal ECG look like. So over here we have the P wave, and as we can see the P wave, it's usually 0.16 seconds, which is going to be important to know for later on. Then we have the QRS complex, and then obviously we have the T wave after. These are really important to know also, so you can be able to calculate the heart rate of a person. Now, and what they mean here by one large square, two large squares, three large squares, is the difference of squares between the R intervals. So as you can see here, we have how many square differences? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which in this case is 60 beats per minute. And yeah, that's basically what you need to know about this. Now, the first cardiac arrhythmia we're going to talk about is tachycardia. So what is tachycardia? Tachycardia is when your heart rhythm, your heart beating is quick, is beating multiple times repetitively. Your R waves, as we mentioned over here, they're going to be closer. They're going to be closer here. And we're also going to see a picture later on. But now let's talk about the three causes of tachycardia. So the first cause is increased temperature, and the second cause is increased sympathetic activity, which we took earlier in other lectures, that it's caused by norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is the reason our heart starts beating really quick, and weakening of myocardium. Now, if you don't understand what is weakening of myocardium, let me explain it. So, how come does once our heart muscles become weaker, how come does it lead to tachycardia? So, because our heart got weaker, we're releasing less blood, and the brain is gonna use that as like an advantage to start compensating and releasing norepinephrine, which is gonna lead to the heart beating faster, weaker but faster. And here's an image over here. As you can see here, you can there's like two large squares between them, three max maybe. Now let's talk about bradycardia. Bradycardia, basically the opposite of tachycardia. The heart is slower. The heart beating is much slower. Now, two causes of it, bradycardia, which is going to be bradycardia in athletes and vagal stimulation. Now, what does bradycardia in athletes mean? The heart is bigger. The heart is bigger in athletes, which makes it release more stroke volume. Now, if you don't know what the stroke volume mean, is the amount of blood released. Stroke volume is the amount of blood released by the heart. So in athletes, they have more stroke volume getting distributed to the body, because the whole body will need blood, nutrients, and oxygen. The second cause is vagal stimulation. Vagal stimulation enhances parasympathetic activity, which releases acetylcholine, and that makes the heart beat slower. And there's an image, as you can see here, the RR intervals are much bigger than the tachycardia, and you can see there's obviously a very low heart rate here. Now, sinus arrhythmia. The sinus arrhythmia can get a bit confusing, but let me explain how it works. So, what happens in sinus arrhythmia? What's the issue over here? As I wrote here, circulatory problems activating the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nerve. Now, let me explain it in an example. And the doctor mentioned this example in our lecture as well. Let's say you take a deep breath in. I think if you try that right now, your heart is going to start beating faster once you inhale and then exhale, but taking deep breaths. Why does that happen? Once you do that, this starts stimulating your medullary respiratory center, and this makes it release sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve. And in this case, when we're inhaling deeply, it's gonna start releasing sympathetic, which is norepinephrine, to the heart. That's what sinus arrhythmia is basically. Now, this is very important, especially for our TBL tomorrow, and this is probably going to be very high yield, so I need you to focus with me now. So, the blocks of the heart signal with conduction pathway. Obviously, the conduction pathway, which you know, is SA node, AV node, bundle of His, left and right, and then Purkinje fibers. So, first one we're going to start with is the SA node. So, what I need you to know about the SA node, obviously, it's sinoatrial block, so that means there's a blocking in the SA node. And how it looks like in the ECG, as you can see in this image, the heart rate is normal, and then just randomly the P wave is gone. Okay, like there won't be like any, what do you call it? There won't be anything like QRS complex, nor P wave, nor T wave. Like the SA node was unable to send the signal to the AV and the Purkinje fibers. Now we're gonna talk about, these are important. The AV node, okay, its blocking of the AV node will have two types. We'll have incomplete and complete. And the incomplete is gonna or actually, to make it simpler, the AV node has three types: first, second, and third. The first is just one type, and the third is also just one type. However, the second degree has two types, and we're gonna get into them right now. The first degree block. The first degree block of the AV node is pretty simple. It's just like this. However, the PR interval, as you can see here, and here also, is prolonged. It's more than 0.16 seconds, but also, to be sure, it's going to be more than 0.2 seconds. Whenever you see any PR interval which is more than 0.2 seconds and there's no issue with anything else, that's first degree block. And this is going to cause a delay of conduction from atrias to ventricles too. Now, let me move this. Okay. Now, second degree, type 1 morbits. It's important to know type 1 morbits, type 2 morbits. These are really important to know. So what is second degree type 1? So basically, it's going to be progressive prolongation of PR intervals until the beat drops. So let me show you here how it looks. So you can see the PR interval in this picture. You can't really see the P wave, this is far. The second time it gets even farther. The third time it gets even farther. The fourth time it's gone. It doesn't even show. Like there's no QRS complex. That's what the type 1, the second degree AV node blockage is. Now, second degree type 2 morbits, where basically it doesn't get farther or anything, it just randomly drops. Like you don't know when does it happen, but it just randomly drops. And that's what's the differences between type 2 and type 1. Now, third degree block. So it's third degree block. What makes it different from first and second degree is complete droppage. It's like there's no any signals coming from the AV node whatsoever. So this leads to what? As we know, SA node and Purkinje fibers, they're both pacemakers. And since SA node is failing to release signals to the AV node, to the Purkinje fibers, and the Purkinje fibers are not getting these signals from the AV node, they'll both start working alone. Like they'll both start working alone, which is gonna create no rhythm whatsoever. We also took this in another lecture, which was Stokes-Adams syndrome. So as you can see here in this picture, P waves are happening randomly, like whenever, and the QRS complex, they're also happening at any, like randomly. There's no rhythm with them whatsoever. Each one is working alone. And the doctor put this in the slides, so I think it's really important to also memorize these and how this works. Okay, we're almost done. The bundle branches block. So after we're done with the AV node, we'll reach the septum. The septum is going to be broken down into two, the left and the right. In the bundle branches block, you'll have a wide QRS complex due to the slow depolarization. Because you have a slow depolarization, you'll see your QRS complex is bigger than usual. It's usually really short. However, in this case, it's going to be bigger than usual. And we'll see these from the V1 and the V6 leads recording showing typical changes in the QRS shape. So what you need to know, and the doctor even gave us this image here to memorize it, as with William and Morrow. In the left bundle branch, your V1 is always going to have a W shape, as you can see here. Your V6 is going to have an M shape. And the right bundle branch is going to be the total opposite. It's going to be completely opposite. Where V1 is going to be the M shape and V6 is going to be the W shape. And use William and Morrow to make it easier for you to understand. Now, I'll also put this PowerPoint that I made in the description, so you can go back to the slides and see which one you need to memorize. I wrote down the ones for the TBL material. Other two that was mentioned that was not in our slides or mentioned in class was atrial fibrillation and ventricular fibrillation. However, I just put them here so you can have a general understanding just in case it comes in the exam. As you can see, in an atrial fibrillation, there's an issue with their SA node, which is your P wave. Your P wave is just completely ruined. Your QRS is fine, however, your P wave is not fine, as you can see. In ventricular fibrillation, you could say it's all not working properly. And that was basically it. It was a quick lecture. I feel like it's mostly memorization, and inshallah it's good for everyone. Tomorrow's TBL.